Hello and welcome to Echoes of Elgin, timeless tales from the Elgin History Museum. I'm Rebecca Miller, museum educator at the Elgin History Museum, and your guide through Elgin's storied past. In each episode, we bring you captivating tales from our city's rich history, exploring the events, people, and places that have made Elgin what it is today. Whether you're a longtime resident, a history enthusiast, or just curious about local lore, this podcast is for you. Our echo today reaches us from October 25th, 1998, when Chicago Cubs fan E.C. Mike Alft tells us that a century ago, Elgin residents feared Halloween vandalism. A century ago, householders in Elgin dreaded the approach of Halloween, and with good reason. The damages on the night of October 31st, 1898 amounted to several $100s, a considerable sum in that day. And those who received no annoyances beyond ringing doorbells counted themselves lucky. Police were kept busy answering calls all over town. Girls as well as boys were out making things lively. Fences were torn down, plank sidewalks removed, gates hauled away, and doorstops removed. For sale signs were tacked onto houses. Vegetables and mud were piled upon front porches, and street signs exchanged or torn down. Some wooden culverts were dug up. At one house, all the first and second story window blinds were removed and piled up in the backyard. A cornfield in the south end was set on fire. A large gate was suspended from a telephone pole. Constable Thomas Burnage discovered a gang of girls running off with his buggy. He gave chase, but they took refuge in a neighboring house. A Crystal Street resident who had suffered severely the previous year stood in front of his house, armed with a gun. Some boys engaged him in conversation while their Confederates snuck into his backyard and overturned his outbuildings. August Swanson, living on Orange Street, was more successful in apprehending marauders. He was hiding behind a bush when boys began ripping up his sidewalk. He was able to grab two of them and turn them over to the police, who took them down to the station. The police also nabbed one of the boys who was demolishing a fence at Spring and Franklin Streets. Children in two horse-drawn buses paraded the streets shooting off fireworks and waving lanterns. Not all the night's activities were this innocent. A crosswalk was placed in the middle of Gifford Street and remained there for some time before it was removed. It could have severely disabled a horse and rider on the dimly lit street. A wire was stretched across the walk on Division Street near Geneva, tripping and bruising some pedestrians. Carriages and wagons were prime targets. A barn was broken open and a wagon taken away. Parts of the vehicle were raised onto a pole, and the other parts could never be found. John Wright, a few days previous, had heard some boys talking about taking his wagon to haul an outbuilding to parts unknown. He removed one wheel and took it inside his house. A grocery wagon was upended. A horse and carriage should not have been left unattended near the evangelical church. The horse was turned loose, and the carriage and harness were found a block away. The next day, August Shealy's bakery wagon was found in a damaged condition in a vacant lot. There are some critics of today's trick-or-treat custom, but those with long memories are pleased that some things, at least, have changed for the better. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Elgin's history. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider subscribing to our podcast and leaving a review wherever you listen. For more fascinating stories and updates, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, or visit our website at www.elginhistory.org. Thank you for listening, and remember, history lives on in the echoes of Elgin.